well, hopefully, because I think it's now time for me to say that the whole reason tonight is a celebration, and it's all for me to say thank you to each one of you. I'm deeply grateful for all the help you've given me. As you know, a mayor's year is a whirlwind, and it's great fun, and I'm privileged to have been able to do it twice and hope that I've learnt from the first time and managed to put more into the second. But really, tonight we've got, I'm seeing the extraordinary cross-fertilisation of people who turned out to know somebody that knew somebody that somebody they wanted to meet, and it's just what I hoped would happen. And because here I have a congregation of people who, some of them go back to the 90s when we were doing all sorts of furious campaigns on every sort, finally winning the council and becoming the administration in 2006, and that's when things really took off. Duncan Barr, who's had to go on to another thing, he usually does several things every evening, was of course Westfield, and that has brought enormous prosperity to the borough, and it lifted the north, which was Hammersmith, unbelievably. And phase 2 is coming again with another 6,000 jobs in 1,300 houses, and heaven knows what else that it brings with it. Because it brings with it an energy that draws people in. People go to Westfield just as a destination, and then they spend money in our borough, so it's a very helpful thing. And then we also, unfortunately, Chelsea couldn't come tonight because they've got to do something, but Alan Shaw has been an absolute gem and let me have the best suite in the whole of the stadium to have 2 events where we raised lots and lots of money, and people were incredibly generous. And I think that some of my new friends in the city are opening up other doors and other interests to me, and legal people, and I mean there's every sort of interest here tonight. Sandy, of course, and I have had a lot of things to do together, because everything military or to do with cadets, she and I do together in this borough. But she wears 2 hats. She's also the first lady chairman of the Hurlingham Club, which is a 3-year stint she's got to get through. I only have to do 1 year, but she's got to manage 3, and she's already kicking off with a massive battle that she's won. So congratulations to you on that. And then I also want to thank my immediate team, because without them I certainly couldn't have got through the year. And that is Pauline Lyle-Smith, my mayoress, an invaluable person on many levels, but she's been wonderful to me. Prince Wasim Ali Khan, one of my 2 consorts, who's been very inspirational and very subtle and understanding about all sorts of levels of things. And Edouard de Guita, who's one of the most generous people I know, and one of the cleverest too. So I've been very lucky. And his wife Caroline has put up with all the evenings when he was rushing off to things with me, and the children were saying, "What, Francis again? Oh, what they're doing now?" And going off to things that were really very fabulous and great fun to do. And sometimes we could do them together. So it all rallied along and was very nice. And I mustn't forget, of course, and could never forget, 2 people who are very special to me. One is Ita, my PA, and the other is Keith, my chauffeur. And they have kept me on the road. Also been great. There we are, Ita. Thanks for that. And this one is the same thing from Keith. I think pink champagne is something that everyone, whether they put red or white, what we now want to come to is the punchline. That is the money that we've been raising for my chosen charity, Walking with the Wounded. And that's where I owe you a huge thank you, all of you, because you've been so generous, and all your friends and all the people you brought to the dinner. Thank you very much. And I think we can now make the presentation of the cheque, which we have, surprise, surprise, sitting on the sofa.
It's called an unveiling.
It's an unveiling plaque, right.
Oh, wow.
I'd love to say just a few words. Francis rang us up 3 years ago, and it started by, "You don't know who I am, but." The big but sort of came in, and I think she mentioned the word in her talk, the whirlwind. Oh my God, it's a whirlwind. And you all know Francis, Well, I didn't know her from Adam, but she said but, and then threw it at us. In 2012, she, through her network and through her loyal supporters, delivered 51,000. 2014, her second mayoral year, 52,000. Quite extraordinary. £100,000 to support wounded servicemen. And really, I have to thank you guys, because yes, we've got the whirlwind here sitting on my left-hand side, but actually, it's you guys that have absolutely delivered, particularly to her posting team. Prince Martin, thank you very much indeed. Edouard, Pauline, brilliant. To Ita and to Keith, thank you very much indeed for supporting us. And to all of you guys, because you've been to all of the events and actually dug very deep. So I have to thank you very much. Just a quick snapshot on the military charity sector. It's looking really exciting now. Everybody is starting to work together to deliver a central solution at last, which is really, really wonderful. The new charities are encouraging the old charities. The old charities have got some really good programs, and we're now starting to support those properly. And just walking the wounded, a couple of areas that we're really interested in is we've got an initiative where we're dealing with homeless servicemen, where they've collapsed, they've fallen out of society, and we're trying to put them back on their feet because they were good guys once. We're trying to identify those that are about to collapse. And one of the areas that we think we're going to pick them up is the criminal justice system. So I picked up a cheque for 70,000 quid 2 days ago to deliver a programme in the east of England, which is early intervention in police custody. It's grabbing them before they start to be criminals and saying, come on guys, you were good guys once. Let's give you the support to put you back on your feet. You're wobbling. Let's stop your wobbling and refocus you. And the biggest issue that I have across the board is mental health. We're sending these young men out to fight for us, and some die. It's a fact of life. Some get injured, but there's a whole raft of hidden wounds. And they're coming back and they're in our communities now, having left the army. And they don't know they're at risk. And there are going to be a number of people that start to wobble. And so my focus is to try and get those guys, to let them know that they're at risk and that they need to stick their hands up when they start to wobble. They're a really proud bunch of guys and they're not used to asking for help. But I need to break down those boundaries. And if we can grab them before they collapse, it's such a cheap solution. Such a cheap solution. Rather than picking up a guy that's been in prison because he did GBH, because somebody said something. It's just such a waste of money. So your money is really, really important to stop lives collapsing. I have to go back to Frances. She has been quite phenomenal in her engagement with us and what she's delivered for us, and I thank you so much. It's been brilliant.
Oh, thanks. I'm sure those of you who came to Chelsea heard Hugh Forsyth, who was one of those ones, because a great many of them, as Fergus didn't mention, but a tremendous amount either attempt or achieve suicide, because they can't bear having been an alpha male to being a discard. And he was one of those. And because he'd had post-traumatic stress, we didn't tell him that he was going to speak, and it was a bit of a risk. We decided the person who was going to speak couldn't come. So we popped him on the stage and said, just tell people what happened to you. So he got up there and said, well, I've never spoken before, but you know, they want to know what happened to me. And he told the story. Those of you who were there remember. He tried suicide, it didn't succeed, thank goodness. But he'd lost everything, including his wife and his job and his self-respect, and nothing to do but look out of the bedroom window. And it was thanks to Fergus and his team. He's now got a job, got a life, and in fact is even married, and is as happy as can be, and is saying, you know, I didn't realise I could do it. He thought he was finished. And these guys say, no, you're not finished. That's why you take them to the South Pole and they do things that no ordinary human being would even think of trying to do. And when they've achieved that, they believe in themselves again. So I think we want to have a toast. Now, what should we believe? Should we have it to self-belief, or should we have it to jobs for... I think it's to everybody who's helped these guys get back on the road, and who is now helping many they don't even know about, because we've got a whole team getting jobs. The centres where people are picking up these soldiers and finding jobs for them, and they make brilliant employees because backs to the wall, been taught discipline, absolutely ready to learn and do exactly what they're told, which is quite unusual, but as a soldier that's just what you do. So far they've been successful, even though there is a get-out clause that if something terrible happened, you take them back and relieve the employer of the embarrassment if it happened, but I don't think it's happened yet, has it? So shall we drink to jobs and a new life for those who are going to lose theirs?
Jobs and a new life.
Lady Mayor, Frances Stainton, she is a great lady, and no doubt she knew my family, and immediately I fell into friendship. I said, well, she knows my family, and it's better to have good friends. And that's how we came to know each other. And equally, I'm grateful to all my friends, each and everyone who is here, each and everyone. I cannot express or name those people. Either can be she or can be she. So we can't do things alone. We need, the togetherness. We need a team. And we can't stand all the time on one leg. So God bless you, and may God keep our unity and the spirit of generosity and the spirit of forgiveness, so we can solve our problem at the national and international level. Thank you very much.
My own experience of what a consort is, because it could be a bit of an anachronism to a lot of people, but actually it's like I was sitting at home one evening in early 2011, and Frances, who was a very dear family friend and knew my parents very well and has known me since ever, really, called me up and said, I'm going to be mayor. Would you like to be my consort? What she didn't say is, would you like to join my team? And that's when I discovered that basically she was forming a team, not to try and do something corporate or to try and change the world, but basically she wanted to be surrounded with people that could help her achieve two things: to represent the borough, as mayors do. We see them a lot, in the press wearing their chains, and that's the mayor. But to represent the borough and also try and champion people in need, and you have to, all mayors choose very worthy charities, but she chose a particularly special one, which was Walking with the Wounded, having come across them, I think, at an event near where we live in Hellingham Park. And I had no idea what I was getting into, but the first thing I realised, actually having spoken to Keith and Eton, was that a mayor in this borough does between 400 and 600 engagements a year. Now, I'm not going to be disrespectful to the Queen, because the Queen does about 300-400, but that's a very, very busy year. And so following Frances at various events, what I see is the way people's eyes light up when they meet the representative of the borough. So she brings a lot of joy, has brought a lot of joy to people, whether they're people at, all sorts of generations. I accompanied her to a school where I was very lucky that our daughter would be joining us. But basically, people were hanging on her every word and delighted, and there was a sort of it's a bit like having royalty come towards you. That's the feeling people have, an aura. But the other thing I'd like to share with you is the impression of this tremendous energy that Frances has brought with her function twice, and actually it's quite rare because I don't think the borough's had a mayor serving twice, at least in the last 10 years. And that's probably a recognition of the huge amount of energy that she could muster around her. So it's been an actual privilege to be, I wouldn't say part of our team, but a witness to the amount of work that she's done.
Part of the team.
No, it's a witness because I mean, we've done we've shared the work with Pauline and Prince Mossam, but it's been an absolute privilege, and I can only wish that this is something that can carry on in years to come, and it's been a shining example of what service to local government is. So thank you, Frances.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a great privilege to be Frances's mayoress, and I have developed, she's a dear friend, but I have seen her be our mayor, and I'm so proud of her. I've seen the goodness that she's done for people, and I treasure many memories we have. And as we were talking, I was thinking of her walking down Wandsworth Bridge Road in the first term, and children coming up to her, just loving to touch her beautiful chain. Frances's patience and concern about people, and she has done so much good for our borough. And I have, with her team, we've had marvellous times together, but we have done so much good. And Fergus, and I was with Frances when she was in my little study, and she said, let's track down that walking with the wounded. And I remember Ed Parker and Frances talking to Ed Parker saying, you don't know who I am, but, and of course the bus happened. But what Frances has done for our borough has been truly outstanding. Thank you, Frances.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, as Frances said, I'm a chess grandmaster, and I write every day on chess in the Times. And I have, of course, to maintain absolute political neutrality when I write on chess. I can't suddenly say, go and vote Tory. I have to keep completely quiet. So what I'm going to say now is in the spirit of neutrality that I maintain every day in the Times. And when Frances unaccountably and tragically did not win this time, she came to one of our Brain Trust charity functions soon afterwards, where I was the host and master of ceremonies, and I found it very difficult not to refer to the brain-dead idiot pre-Cambrian slime worm voters who failed to get her back. So that's my totally unpolitical comment on Frances. I'm sure you will rise like a phoenix and become once again the mayor, which is your natural environment and habitat and position. Thank you very much.
Your term as mayor has been crowned with huge success from the admiration that all have shown in what you have done. The cheques that the money that you've raised for your chosen charity has been quite remarkable. It will be remembered down through generations. All I would like to say is somebody who has known you all that long, but has become extremely appreciative of what you've done and indeed your friendship, that when you shed that chain, and as you will do shortly, sadly, you will nevertheless leave that position. You will sail away from that position on an ocean of love and goodwill. It's the love and goodwill of all of us. My dear Frances, many congratulations for what you've achieved in office. And on behalf of everybody, I would like to offer you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
I feel very honoured to be here tonight, and I think Francis has done wonderful things, and I think Hammersmith as a borough is greatly to be admired, and I do hope that, being political for a moment, I do hope that you don't lose all the wonderful things that you've done. So it'll be a case of carrying on. But everyone here tonight, I think, feels very privileged to be among your guests this evening. I had no idea it would be quite such a small group, and I think it makes it that much better and more special for being that, because everyone here is a genuine friend who's known you for some time. And of course, Pauline being a fellow Australian, that adds to the good things too.
And a great friend of yours.
Yes, a great friend. Well, she was for many years head of the Sydney University alumni in the UK, and in fact they wouldn't let her go, but eventually she managed to persuade them to do so. But I think she served several more terms than were allowed in the Constitution, because no one could bear to see her go. So I'm sure it's worked very well, and I do think Hammersmith has come a long way in the time that you've been here. And your own seat, of course, you did win. So my daughter told me that. She said, I've checked that out, and she did win her seat. So things come and go in local government, and you'll come back again for sure. So it's good that you're here to carry on in the meantime. And I'm sure I speak for everyone here in thanking you for having us here tonight.
It's been a great pleasure.
I've been privileged to see Frances in action several times, and she is a formidable person, and I think the new council doesn't quite know what they're in for, and all I can say is just keep fighting and keep doing the marvellous job that you have been doing for the last few years, ever since you were elected, really. So keep on with that. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, of course, you, Frances, are the star here, and I think Hammersmith and Fulham, for me anyway, will never be the same unless you are the mayor and very much in control and in command. I thank you very much for inviting me, and I must say it's a great honour and pleasure to know you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been an
We did join
amazing
the
few
children.
years.
We took them to
And
the
and Frances has been very generous and has invited me to some wonderful events. I remember our fantastic visit to the Japanese embassy just after the tsunami. And we attended that fantastic concert, do you remember?
Yes.
With the cellist. And it was so moving and amazing. And
we took the little girls, well, actually it was Edward and I took the little girls to the Lord Mayor's
That's
party,
right.
which is probably the party of a lifetime for a
Yes,
child.
and they
It's
still
amazing.
talk about it. And
Do they?
you've been so generous, and you are an incredibly generous person. I think that's the thing that comes through in everything you do, and it's a hugely admirable quality that very few people have. And I congratulate you wholeheartedly on everything you've achieved in your two highly successful mayoral terms. And I'm just very proud that in my own tiny, tiny part, I've been able to take part with Edward and the children. So thank you for that. And the borough will be a sort of less rich place without you, but you know, who knows what will happen in the future. And we just have to stay positive and hope for a change. Thank you. Okay.
I know because I've worked, I thought I was new in the role, but in fact I was talking to Ita just now, I think I'm coming up to 5 years, so I've been there, I've done it, and I know how much the mayors put in to the work of the borough, to raising money for charities, whatever the charities, and we have Walking with the Wounded here, but there are other charities which I know Frances has given. So I think what I would like to do is perhaps we could have a toast, because I too am apolitical and I'm not going to make any outrageous statements. So if we could raise our glasses to the mayors of our boroughs and to the work that they do.
Yes.
To the mayors of the boroughs, and thank you, Frances.
Yes, I can drink more.
Now here I am. Arik, you grabbed me at last. And I know you since more than 2 years nearly, how the time passed. But your dedication and your work really is admired by the people locally and internationally. And you're giving a good service to people and also to your own team and the organization. And among those, I must say that I cannot forget Dr. Sohail Chugtai. So God bless him and his team. Arik, you are included. So hope we will see you soon, and my greetings once again. Thank you very much, Arik.
As you heard, everybody in the room is a remarkable person, and I've been extremely lucky to have met them and to have inspired them to support me. And it's really through them passing on to their friends and coming and supporting my events that we've managed to make this extraordinary large amount of money for a very worthy cause. We all know what it's like to despair sometimes in our life, but not to the point that we want to throw our lives away. And if there's somebody there for us to say, hey, wake up, you're a great person, you're not a discard at all, and you believe it and you get your life back, well, I think anyone who's put money into that, making that possible, is a very great person, and I'm extremely grateful and privileged to have met them all and to have been supported by them. And the year as mayor, of course, as you know, is immensely varied. You go from the top to bottom of society. It might be lunch with the Queen in the Jubilee year, or it might be going to the excluded children who've been not only turned out of school, but turned out of the next secluded stage, and they've got really nowhere to go, and everyone's saying to them, if you carry on like this, and they just have frozen, they just resist and they don't want to know about it. So getting them to turn their corner was another great thing. We had an award ceremony for them, and I awarded anyone who'd done the slightest thing, even if it was attended 3 days in a row or not been rude for a week or whatever it was. We found a way for them to suddenly join the other side of society. And this shocked them and suddenly made them think, hey, maybe I could join in and maybe I could get back to school. And again, it was a feeling that if you can just trigger off that self-belief in people, wherever they are in society, then you've done some good. So I hope that on many levels I've managed to do that. I've certainly enjoyed every minute of it. And Apex has really become a feature in my life now, because I do feel they have a lovely attitude. They're not trying to spin or twist it or make it political or embarrass everybody or find something awful. They come and they just take a recording of the very evening as it truly is. And that's something unique in television, and I congratulate them on that, and I enjoy seeing their programs myself.